righty. What's up, Ringside Nation? The Ring Boys are back. -1 for the night. The boys are down. Artie's at the Carolina Hurricanes game tonight. So go Canes. I know wanted to be here, but wanted to pass on a message. We got a good script. And we got my beautiful co-host Doc. Doc, how are we feeling tonight, man?
Yeah, I'm ready. You know, we're trying to fire out these podcasts early this year, so let's get it going. I'm excited. This is gonna be our first coverage of a fight night, I think. So
in 2024.
That's right.
Before we do cover UFC Vegas 84, a lot of matchups announced in the past 4 days. We recorded an episode on Sunday, the 7th. Time of recording is the 11th right now. And to say we have some news on matchups is an understatement. So we'll go right into the mix on it here. First off, the biggest fight that was announced is Arman Tsarukyan versus Charles Oliveira at UFC 300. This is a contender fight. They're chopping it up. Arman at number 4, Charles at number 1. And they're trying to get on their resume and get against Islam for a contending fight for the title. I'm glad this is a UFC 300 fight, but as great as a fight, and before we get to your thoughts, Doc, I want to throw a little wrench in things and say, is Gaethje not going to get a shot? Like, we're very grateful for this fight, but what's Gaethje's plan here, you think?
No, I think Gaethje only wants to fight Islam, and that's what it sounds like. That Islam just is gonna have to wait for Gaethje up there, and that's fine. I know that the thing that throws a wrench into the schedule is Islam says that he needs a little bit of time after Ramadan to get back onto the training, so that cuts out part of the year. But we got to keep the lightweight division going. Tons of great fighters in the lightweight division. Might be the best division in all of UFC. And we'll see that with Arman fighting next. So against Oliveira. Oliveira missed his chance. Even though I think that Islam would have done him dirty another time. Getting injured or getting sick or whatever it was right before that last fight, making Volkanovski step up, that really hurt his chances going forward, because I truly don't see him getting past Arman. And what everybody wants to see in this sport, and what we eventually will see, hopefully, if Makhachev doesn't move up in weight, is Arman versus Islam 2. Arman has a few losses, one against Islam, one against that Polish wrestler guy. But besides that, he's looked phenomenal, and what he did last against Beneil Dariush was astonishing. So I'm excited to see this fight. I'm glad that it's happening. I think Oliveira has proven us wrong many times, coming back against Gaethje, coming back against Poirier. What sets Arman apart is that he's not afraid to go to the ground. So that's what I think gives Arman the edge. But this should be a great fight. I think Oliveira has limited time left in the UFC, unfortunately. But he'll put on a good show.
Charles did have to step out of his last fight due to an injury. The line's open as Arman Tsarukyan -160 and Charles Oliveira +135. One thing to note, Charles is 4-1 as the underdog. So we'll see if he bumps up to 5-1 or 4-2 at UFC 300 April 13th. So big fight.
I'm assuming that he was the underdog against Gaethje and he was the underdog against Poirier. And he got rocked in both those fights, and both guys got scared of seeing the submission happen. And then when they would go to the ground, that's it; they would get submitted. And that was the secret behind Islam beating him, because he wasn't afraid, and he ended up submitting the submission master himself. So I think Arman is on the same level there, and what we all want to see is Arman versus Islam. Hopefully, we get it.
Yeah, we definitely want that rematch over the Charles rematch. But after Arman knocked out Beneil Dariush in style, I'm really excited for this fight. A lot of hype going into this one, but gotta wait a few months for that one. Alongside of that, Dana did also bless us with another fight for UFC 299. Not that we needed it, because that card is already looking stacked. Benoit Saint Denis is going to fight Dustin Poirier. as the co-main 5-round fight at UFC 299 in Miami. And boy, I am ready for this one. Benoit Saint Denis is on my fantasy team. I know you know how much I love the guy. After that,
Immediately the fight got announced the day after you drafted him. Almost like some insider info going on here, but you never know.
can either
Not
confirm
saying
or
it's
deny that
insider,
statement.
but
But yeah, betting lines open as Benoit Saint Denis minus 135, Dustin Poirier plus 115. Honestly, whichever way you bet that way, I wouldn't call you crazy because this literally to me is a coin flip. If the match lineup came out right before the fight, minus 110, minus 110, I wouldn't think that's too crazy for Vegas to do.
yeah, I think they're giving Benoit Saint Denis a lot of credit here, and he deserves it. He's put on some great performances. Poirier has been the gatekeeper in this division, along with Gaethje, for many years. No one's entering the top three unless they beat these two guys, and these guys don't lose against people outside the top three unless if they are Islam Makhachev. So, it'll be a good fight. It's not gonna get finished in the first round. Benoit Saint Denis is gonna have to show his cardio a bit here. Um, Poirier is a phenomenal opponent. Like even though he got knocked out by Gaethje, he's really talented, really skilled in all aspects on the ground, standing up. And BSD will have to showcase a lot more than just his power to win this. But I'm excited. Dana did well this week.
Yeah, Dana did. Dana has been crushing it. I'm glad he's keeping the mojo going into the new year. One thing I do want to bring up is I feel like this is kind of a high risk, low reward if you're from Poirier's camp and perspective of things. But if he shows levels, which I think he potentially can, and does finish off BSD, I think Poirier, back into the title mix isn't too crazy of a shout. Unless it's a boring decision, then everyone's going to roast him on Twitter per normal. But we'll have to wait and see. That fight is going to be a great one.
I'll just say, I'll make a little golf reference here. But for both Gaethje and Poirier, they kind of grew up in the wrong years because as soon as they got good, they had to beat Habib, which is impossible, and they had to beat Islam, which is also seemingly impossible. Similar to Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods. That's what I'll compare it to. But both phenomenal fighters. Poirier really strong, even though he's been in the game for a really long time. And you're right, it is a risk for Poirier, but it's also going to be a really hyped up fight. I think there's going to be a lot of people that follow UFC that are excited to watch this fight. And BSD, he's a top 5 fighter. So the ranking doesn't mean much. He just hasn't had chance. And when he does come out, he performs really well. So
agreed. And BSD taking this fight. We don't know when this UFC France card is going to be. Hopefully it is this year. I'm going to bring it up every episode if I have to, but get BSD on a fight in France in 2024. That's all I want to see. I will match your golf quote with another golf quote of the great Bobby Jones, who said, I never learned anything from a match that I had won. So take that with what you will and stride. Read in between the lines there.
You're a quote master.
I am a quote master. Speaking of quote master, I also have a quote for this next fight that got announced, also for UFC 300. Thank you, Doc, for the alley-oop. Zhang Weili is going to defend the title against Yan Jianan, also at UFC 300. Zhang Weili opening up as a minus 325 favorite. This one's going to be a fun one. I know everyone was tossing and turning, not going to bed, because Dana kept teasing on Instagram and Twitter that he has more fights to announce. And this one came out. And for whatever upset the MMA community, it's a title fight, guys. I think the strawweight title fight's still going to be a fun one to watch. And I know that it's not, an Alex Pereira versus an Israel Adesanya fight that everyone wanted to see. But hey, we'll take it in stride. I think Dana got this one right. I'm glad to see it's on UFC 300. And I think this one is also going to be a good one. And going back to a previous episode where I brought up the art of war for a Chinese war strategic quote, who wishes to fight must first count the cost. So I'll offer that piece of advice out.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah,
Thank
what
you, sir.
your thoughts on the Zhang Weili versus Yan fight?
Yeah, you're right to not even mention my thoughts on the quote because I have none. But for this fight, yeah, it's exciting. Zhang Wei Li, other than that one loss to Rose, has looked so good in the UFC, and I think Yao Shannan has even said that like Zhang Wei Li is her idol at this point. It's really great that she took that both fighters agreed to it. I thought that it was going to happen at a different weight class, but maybe I'm wrong. But overall, it should be high action. Both fighters are super offensive, and yeah, I'm excited to see Zhang Weili out there. Honestly, I'm excited to see both, but mainly Zhang Weili
Yeah,
or Weili Zhang.
it is to defend the strawweight title, so it will be at that weight class from the source that I have straight in front of me. Um, Also, did you see? Was it Zhang that picked up Shaq in that weird video that went viral on Twitter? Did you see that by any chance?
I did.
I feel like this is
Yeah,
this is on the same level of energy of like when DC was taking that leg kick from Pereira and he was like, "Give me 20% more."
25%.
I feel like they picked both of those videos. There's no shot that she got Shaq up off the ground that high. But hey, maybe it wasn't fake. Maybe it was real. Uh, Moving along here, another UFC 300 fight that was announced. Um, Cody Garbrandt is going to fight Davison Figueiredo at UFC 300. I believe Doc, was it you that called this or Artie on a previous card?
Yeah, I don't think I called it. I know that I did call Cody Garbrandt losing his last fight, and he did not do that. And you called him winning, I believe. Uh, I mean, I'm shocked. Is Cody Garbrandt having a resurgence in his career? If he is, it's about to come to a screeching halt
Yeah,
because Davidson Figueiredo can take a punch and he can give a punch, and we know that Cody Garbrandt's chin is glass. So, hey, I want Cody to keep on going. Uh, like on this streak that he's on, that fight that he had back in the day that made him famous against Dominic Cruz was awesome. If he can get back to that level, that would be great. But hey, I'm shocked that this fight is getting made. It could only be made with Cody Garbrandt having that wonderful knockout. Um, Davison Figueiredo showed everybody that he can fight in this weight class. He was massive previously. He's still massive at this size. So yeah, I'm excited to see it. But I think as exciting of a fight as this is, I fully expect Figueiredo to show Cody Garbrandt what's up.
I'm just glad I don't have to watch Davison fight Moreno like 10 times in a row. And now we, after seeing him beat Rob Font, and now this gets announced, and they're both coming off a win. Man, they got that one right. Um,
I I'll say, I mean, I was shocked that Moreno lost his belt to Pantoja, and for a while it looked like Figueiredo and Moreno were the only ones that are actually competitive for that belt. But hey, it happened.
and I'm glad you brought up Moreno because literally an hour before we sat down to record this episode, it just got announced on February 24. I think that's the UFC Mexico card El Noche. Brandon Moreno is going to fight Brandon Royval. Your thoughts immediately, not to put you on the hot seat.
My thoughts immediately are that Brandon Moreno is my favorite flyweight. So he will be beating Royval, even though Royval did okay against Pantoja. He looked okay, not as good as Moreno did. Um, but what's most exciting is it's again it's the flyweight division. They throw so many punches, endless cardio. Both guys have good submissions. Uh, both guys are fast, great cardio. Like I said, it'll be a great fight. I don't think it goes the distance here. I think Moreno, as long as I think he broke his hand maybe last fight. He's coming off that as an injury. As long as that's healed up, as long as he's feeling good, I'm excited to see him back in action. But Royval is fun to watch. Their first fight, Moreno maybe won by knockout. It was definitely a stoppage. Um, I expect another one here. But again, high action, two elite flyweights. Uh, let's see it happen. Dana is just like throwing all these beautiful matchups together. If 80% of them hold through, that will be a happy community here.
That we will. And Amir Albazi was the intended fight to go against Moreno on that 24th card. Also funny, sometimes things in life just work out beautifully. Right as I go into Twitter to just check if his injury was leaked, he just tweeted, said, "I'm out on the fight, guys. I've been dealing with a serious neck injury the past few weeks. After some scans, the UFC doctors decided to pull me out of the fight immediately. Want to apologize to the fans in UFC. I will be back." So
that's Albazi.
That was Albazi tweeting 39 and a half seconds ago.
Huh.
Perfect timing.
Live with the Ring Boys.
Live with the Ring Boys. We do this for you, Ringside Nation, man. This is why we do the podcast. But yeah, that fight is scheduled for the 24th, and that is all we have for the matchups announced. Maybe if anything else comes on the post show this weekend, we'll get some updates there. We do have some other UFC news coming up on the stream of the past 4 days. We'll start with, we mentioned Islam earlier. He did tweet out that he has a path for the year and starting the new year, where he said June 8th, UFC pay-per-view versus Gaethje, November, UFC MSG versus Olivier Armand, and then February 25 against anybody. That's not going to happen. I'll just tell you straight up, I don't even think that June versus Gaethje card will happen. If they
think he won't be that active, or what's your concern here?
I'm saying that I don't think they're going to actually line up that pay-per-view, just because Connor and Chandler is also in June, and they have a great opportunity to just throw both of those fights on the same card. Now, I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll split the events. I, from a fan perspective, personally want to see them just on the same card, just because, if Islam goes in and wins and then Connor loses, or vice versa, just them going at it potentially, Connor Khabib style, and those camps in the building, man, who wouldn't want to see chaos in a safe, environment with no one hurt? But yeah, that's just my immediate thoughts. Doc, what do you think about that tweet and his plans overall?
It's exciting if it happens. I don't care what the timeline is, but I know we got to see Gaethje and we got to see Armand. As long as that happens before Islam wants to move up in weight, I'm happy. They just need to happen before he decides to bulk up. And yeah, Leon Edwards better be scared up there.
That he is. And this is also coming right from Islam's Twitter account. This is not UFC official. This is not off Dana White's desk. This is completely fantasy. Other news in the realm of the UFC: Israel Adesanya, a hot topic this week. Adesanya is rumored to be cage side at UFC 297 next weekend. Said that he was battling injury, and now that he should be back this year in an interview after he walked out of his court case where he is pleading guilty to a DUI. You hate to see a fighter go through an injury that keeps him out of the ring, but when you have shenanigans that go on, like a John Jones where they can't keep their act together outside the cage, that's more upsetting. After Adesanya lost to Sean Strickland, lost me money, no big deal. I do want to see him active this year. I do hope he's doing well. I do hope, we get him back. And if he is cage side and gets the next fight, Doc, what are your thoughts on Israel Adesanya not taking a break till 2027?
Yeah, no, that was never going to be the case. I'm a little bit concerned though that he's going to be cage side for 297. His last interaction with Dreykus was
interesting.
It was poor. Just like his DUI was poor. Two things that we didn't expect from this guy. Like 2 years ago, looking at him, I would have never said that this is going to be a future DUI guy, future like ringside commotion type guy. But sometimes, as we saw with Connor, the fame gets to you. And I hope that Israel Adesanya took this time, settled down his mind a bit. Uh, that loss to Strickland had to hurt so much. He
Yeah.
looked terrible, and he was talking. I saw a little interview. He was saying like he had conversations with his coach during the fight that like no, he has to like stay back, not unleash. It's hard to believe that Adesanya himself didn't experience fear after getting knocked down by Strickland early in that fight. And I know he's fought better fighters like Pereira, but I don't know. I don't know. I Israel Adesanya better worked on the mental game because, as we all know, if you lose the mental game, you definitely have lost the war. And he was been strong mentally his entire career until recently when he's gotten this famous. Um, let's see what he does cage side. I hope he keeps it calm. Um, but I'm excited to see him back.
Yeah.
He is really good for the UFC.
We don't want another Sean Strickland situation where you get attacking someone and thrown out of the building right away before the main card even starts. Um, Also, I fully agree with you. I think the smart thing for Adesanya would be to get the ring rust out of there, not take too big of a fight. I think if he tries to go for the belt right away, it's not the best idea. I think he should try to get the ring rust out of there. Although I don't know. I'm not a firm believer in ring rust unless you've taken like years and years out. If you've taken a year off, but you're still training, you're still active. I think you should be good. But 2024, we'll have to see what's in store for Israel, the last stylebender Adesanya.
Thinking about it, Jared Cannonier, is he still at middleweight? I think he is. Um, that would be a fight that I would like to see run back, and I think that that would be a really good reintroduction for Israel Adesanya. Yeah, Cannonier beat Strickland, beat Marvin Vettori. He lost to Adesanya. That fight was a lot of defense in that fight when he lost to Adesanya. I would like to see that run back. That was a close fight, even though when Adesanya was on his win streak. Um, Maybe that could be made, and then if he wins that, then he fights. I mean, I want to see Sean Strickland, but maybe then he fights the champion after that. Who
Yeah,
knows?
we'll have to see as the year unfolds and the permutations will work themselves out. But I agree. I do think the MMA community thinks that fight was extremely boring, but it's like all they want to see is just knockouts and blood, and that's not exactly what the sport's about. So, but yeah, not to turn this into the Israel Adesanya fan club. We do have a couple of other things to catch up on. The other two aspects I had was you guys clowned on me for picking Khamzat Chimaev post-op, but Khamzat Chimaev spotted at the Etihad Arena at the Man City game where they won 5-0. No big deal. Big Man City guy. And he's looking solid. He also had an interview that came out recently where he said, quote, he was promised Sean Strickland next after this fight. I'm not sure how that's going to work out if Sean does end up losing to DDP. I don't know. And it's now like you say you're promised a title fight. You're at 8 or 9 on the rankings, and you're supposed to fight Paulo Costa before. And now Paulo Costa is going at Rob Whittaker. It's like, are they never going to, hash that out after the Twitter exchange they had? Doc, what do you think about Khamzat and Paulo Costa potentially this year?
Yeah, I mean, I want to see that fight much more than I want to see Hamza versus. Well, much more than I want to see Hamza versus like Israel Adesanya. I do want to see Hamza versus Sean Strickland because I want to see Sean Strickland's wrestling. He keeps talking about it. Says that he can go up against light heavyweights. I want to see it. I want to see it. And I saw an interview, I think today, Ben Askren was talking, and he said something like, Americans are far superior than the like Chechens in wrestling. It's just that our best wrestlers don't go into MMA fighting, and that's why they keep losing. all right, Sean Strickland's a pretty good wrestler, and Kamaru Usman was a pretty good wrestler. So I want to see what happens. Um, but yeah, back to the original point. Like Hamzat Chimaev, is he fully healthy? I doubt it right
No.
now. Is he going to fight a lot this year? I doubt it. He's had some like serious health scares. My doctor senses are going off a little bit, thinking he might have some like immunodeficiency stuff going on. Not everybody gets really bad cellulitis, but hey, that's just me um, bringing it up. But uh, I want to see him fight. I don't know if he deserves a title shot yet. He's relatively new to this division. Not too many fights there, so let's see what he does. I don't want to speculate too much, uh, and I don't want to see him against Israel Adesanya because that would just be a poor matchup.
And there you have it. Doc's prescription. One fight in 1 year, no title for Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, I love the guy. Khamzat's one of my favorite fighters to just watch because he's just insanely entertaining. Obviously, he fought Kamaru Usman. Yeah. Obviously, he fought Kamaru Usman recently, then was in the hospital. We talked about it on the last episode, so you guys should go check that out. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be entirely active this year. I do think when he's going to be ready, he's going to be ready, and he's going to make a statement fight against whoever's in his way. I don't think he's going to be fighting for the title this year, but hey, who knows? The fighting world works in a very mysterious way. Lastly, we have other news. Aljamain Sterling coming out and stating that he is not going to fight at bantamweight ever again. Your thoughts immediately?
This is upsetting. Very upsetting. I don't know what's going through his head. I think a lot of his success is because he fought at bantamweight. He's going to have to fight against much bigger guys now. And I mean, he was telling us that him losing to Sean O'Malley is a fluke. Okay, run it back then, but you won't. So what is that? Really weird from Aljamain, and he's had just like such a strange UFC career, in my opinion. He kind of came up unnoticed, went on this like nice win streak, won the title, but like nobody actually really cared about him until the Sean O'Malley fight. Sean O'Malley knocks him out, and all of a sudden he leaves the division. Like, no, people were saying that he was going to be like the bantamweight goat. This is something shady's going on over here. And I don't think he should be scared about other people in the bantamweight. And I don't think that he's proven enough. Again, you just lost. You didn't. You're good at wrestling. You did not wrestle Sean O'Malley. That was your way to win. You thought you could stand with him, and you got dropped. So what? Now you want to fight bigger fighters? You're not gonna get much more success at the higher weight class. But I'm sure cutting as much as he has to sucks. It's not fun. Alex Pereira made the same decision, not cutting that much weight anymore. So it's probably for his life, but it's not for his legacy. Is what this is.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it any better myself, quite honestly. I know he said that, safe to say, he's done the bantamweight. There's no more 135, which I didn't like what he said. I don't know if he meant there's no more 135 down the path for me, or there's no more 135, like no one in the division. I don't know if that was like a diss on just the division in itself, but he said that he believes that the additional 10 pounds on his frame is going to provide a second wing to his fighting career, given that he's not depleting himself after cutting so much weight, as you mentioned. And he is going to debut at 145 at UFC 300 against Calvin Kattar. So I know he's going to be nervous going into this, going against the bigger guy, but I mean, you can talk about the rehydration clause. You can talk about whatever physicality. At the end of the day, in that division, are you going to be a better fighter against Calvin Kattar? That's your first test. And until then, we can't really say much.
I mean, the other thing is you go into the sport to be the best in the world. He's moving up to featherweight, 145. Is he going to beat Volkanovski? He has zero chance against Volkanovski. So what? Like, he's not. He's doing this because he's tired of cutting weight. Fine, go fight one more time at 135 and then retire. Like, I don't get this move. He's going to get exposed at this weight. He's not beating Volkanov. He's not winning this title. He's not beating Ilya Topuria at this weight. No way. No way.
Yep, agreed. And Calvin Kattar is dead center in the rankings, so that's about as average of a fighter as you can get. So we'll have to just wait and see if he can relight his flame and get back to where he was. But yeah, I don't even want to talk about his grappling match. That was just boring and a waste of my weekend to watch. Just watching a guy drag him in by the ankle while he's on his back and lose. That's not the sport we're covering. The sport we are covering, though, is UFC Vegas 84, Ankalaev versus Walker 2 fight night this weekend. Prelim starting at 4 p.m., the main card starting at 7. And this one is very intimate to you and I, Doc, because this was the leg that scared the crap out of me on the Dagestani Gucci flip-flop parlay when we were together watching it live in Virginia. I will say...
from Waterside, Norfolk, Virginia.
Live from Waterside, North Virginia. Man, that was a magical weekend. Go watch the first episode if you haven't heard the story there. I'm just going to self-plug as many times as I can anymore. But yeah, we have a big card for you to cover for you guys. So let me just prep everything over here so I can share my screen. We are going to walk you guys through this card real quick. And yeah, we'll get right into this one. Obviously, main event, we got Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. I love how they're calling this Magomed versus Walker 2 when the first fight didn't even really happen. Obviously, first fight being on UFC 295. I always get them mixed up. 295, right? Or is it 294?
I don't know the numbers.
I made money on both, and I made a ton on both. So I have to, while you do that research, I'll just give the little story of what happened. Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker are in Saudi Arabia fighting. Magomed obviously gets Johnny to a point where he seemed to get, I don't know, impatient and threw an illegal knee because he just wanted to finish him. Johnny Walker was stumbled, stood up, and, you know, Magomed's from Russia. Johnny Walker's from Brazil. The ref is Saudi. Not anyone speaks a lick of English. And they asked Johnny Walker, do you know where you are right now? Because he just took a knee to the head. And he was like, yeah, bro, I'm in the desert. Let's go. And just pushes the ref out of the way. Dana even had to step into the ring. We had no audio watching the fight, and it was a leg of my parlay. So I'm glad we're running this one back. I got Magomed Ankalaev. Not even concerned about this one. Johnny did throw a crazy knee on the first fight where he faked. I don't know if he faked or was actually hurt.
Fake out.
And jumped.
No, that was a fake out.
And jumped and threw a knee. And for a guy who's 6'6" and an 82-inch reach, this guy's an athlete. But this guy's not going to be able to out-wrestle Magomed, who's literally slated it and trying to get a title fight this year. Doc, how do you feel about this fight?
Yeah, I mean, this fight had to happen. I'm glad that they're not waiting like an extra year to make this fight happen. But Ankalaev, to our eyes, was clearly winning that first fight. Ankalaev is the much better all-around fighter. Ankalaev did have a tough bout against Jan Blachowicz. Questionable if he won that fight. And you know what Johnny Walker did in that first fight is the reason why Jan Blachowicz made it close in their fight is that he was attacking the legs. So I don't know if Ankalaev wants to like work on his leg protection. But as long as he has that, that's the biggest offense that Johnny Walker can do against Ankalaev, in my opinion. Yeah, Ankalaev's going to walk him down. Johnny Walker has had plenty of highlight reel knockouts of his own, of his face getting bashed in. Ankalaev might be the next one to jump on that highlight reel. But hey, anything can happen in the UFC. It better not be another draw, though.
Yeah, I don't want to see Ankalaev versus Walker 3. I want to just see this with someone winning and getting their hand raised at the end of the night.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're...
overall, sorry, one last thing. The light heavyweight division like really suffered as a result of this fight being a draw last time. And, you know, We have Yuri, we have Alex Ferreira, we have Alexander Rakic. Like we have great fighters there. This fight needs to happen. Ankalaev needs his title shot already. Like this is ridiculous. This guy's 18-1. Maybe that those numbers aren't like exactly accurate based on how he's fought, but like come on, he doesn't lose in the UFC. Give him a title shot. Have him lose once for the title. But this is absolutely ridiculous.
Agreed. And Alexander Rakic is fighting Yuri at UFC 300. We're excited for that fight as well, as that is other big news in the light heavyweight division. Artie has Magomed as well. I'll try to run through Artie's picks as well. I know he's not here, but he will get his picks in. I have them already, so we'll see what goes on. Moving on to the co-main event, a flyweight fight against Matthias Nicolau versus Manel Kopp. Manel Kopp minus 280. Matthias Nicolau plus 230. Doc, I know you got Matthias on this one, so I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I will preface this by saying I'm not a big Kopp fan. He is very, very loud, likes to talk a lot. His last fight was against a UFC newcomer, Felipe Dos Santos, who put on a fantastic performance. They went to a decision. I think Kopp correctly earned that decision, but I think he got exposed a bit. Nicolau, well-rounded fighter, had a great win streak up until his last fight. Lost to Royval, got hit with a knee straight to the face. Could have happened to anyone. I think that this is a really important fight for Nicolau, but it's shocking that he's plus 230, in my opinion. This'll be much closer than what these odds show. Again, in my opinion, evenly matched with like reach, age are the same. Hey, Kopp wants to become a superstar. That's why he's so loud. But this should be a good fight.
Agreed. But where I don't agree is I see it differently. I think Manel Kopp is very explosive. I don't think MMA math always adds up. I do think if this goes to decision, I think it'll be a coin flip and maybe a toss up. But I think Manel Kopp has the intangibles and has it to get done over Matthias Nicolau. And the last time they met, Matthias did beat him by a split decision. So I think he's going to be looking for revenge here, Doc. And I think there are going to be fireworks on this one. But then again, we are just fans. This is by the common man for the common man. We're not experts, and we'll obviously see how this one finishes up. One thing I didn't mention is Magomed is minus 550 and Johnny Walker is plus 385. But more importantly, we all agree. So a ringer for the ring boys here. We're all taking Magomed Ankalaev. Ring the bell. Moving on. Third fight of the night. My boy, Jim Miller versus Gabriel Benitez. Did you see who's rumored to be in Benitez's corner for this one?
I did not.
I think it's Cain Velasquez that I saw on Twitter. Wow. I could be wrong. Is going to be in his corner against Jim Miller, but Jim Miller is Jim Miller, and I'm taking Jim Miller. That's all I need to say. That's all I need to say.
That is all you need to say. I couldn't have said it better myself. Jim Miller defies logic. Mm-hmm. He even though he's been in a million fights, he keeps on putting on performances. Last fight he was in lasted 23 seconds. 23 seconds. He got the knockout. He's a submission specialist. I think he might have the most submissions. I mean, it's probably him and Oliveira are either tied or one of them is leading by one. I mean, I get excited watching Miller fight. I mentioned on our last podcast that hopefully this is a little warm up before Jim Miller hits the UFC 100, UFC 200, UFC 300 trifecta. And he may be 40. But he's good enough to keep on fighting. I always like seeing him. It seems like he gets better and better. Like, it doesn't make sense at this point.
He's a fine
But
wine.
his submission game is scary, and everybody better be on the lookout for him grabbing your neck.
Agreed. And had to fact check you, not to rub it in your face. Charles Oliveira, 16 submissions. Jim Miller, 11. But still, nonetheless, impressive through.
Do they have like a similar amount of finishes? Maybe, or maybe Jim Miller has the. No, I thought Jim Miller had something. Finishes in lightweight. Maybe finishes in lightweight.
Maybe in the division, but in any bout, I'm seeing Jim Miller 17 finishes, Charles 20. So we'll have to have a discussion about that one. But nonetheless, Jim Miller, legend, doesn't even need to be talked about on the resume to prove. I think I don't think I'm going to be shocked. Jim Miller minus 150. This one opened as Jim Miller as the underdog, and then they switched it, I believe, according to best fight odds. So we'll see. A 40-year-old guy against the 35-year-old guy on paper seems like not too exciting of a fight, but these guys are warriors. And Jim Miller, another absolute ringer for the Ring Boys. We're all taking him to beat Benitez.
I'll just say before we continue so that I can correct myself. It is finishes. Jim Miller, 15 finishes at lightweight. Charles Oliveira, 14 finishes at lightweight. That is the stat that I meant to say. My apologies.
No worries. No worries at all. Moving on, we got number 13, Ricky Simon versus Mario Batista. Both guys pretty much copy-paste. We got a little bit of a height advantage for Mario. Ricky is the ranked fighter while Mario is not ranked. But I'm taking Ricky on this. I think at the end of the night, the thing that's going to stand out is just having that takedown average and having that good takedown defense is going to show. And I don't think Mario Batista has what it takes to defeat him.
Yeah, I think Ricky Simone is the one that's should be favored. He is favored, and you're exactly right. It's the takedown. As we often see in the UFC, if you can't stop the takedown, then it might be a boring fight, but you're going to lose. And Simone's wrestling is fantastic. Mario Bautista's chance at winning this has to be with his cardio, and it has to be with his striking. But he needs to make sure that he protects the takedown, and I don't think he has it in him. But we'll see. These are two rising stars. I know that they're like in their 30s, young, early 30s, but super solid. Very excited to see this. I actually took Ricky Simone to beat Song Yadong. I know, terrible decision looking back, but he is just so solid of a wrestler. And I hope that we get to see a lot more of that this fight than we did against Song Yadong, because that is the way that he's able to win. And I think his chin will hold up during this fight.
That is right. I would ring the bell, but he's not here to defend himself, so I won't say anything about him. I already did take Mario Bautista. So this is not a ringer for the Ring Boys, and we'll have to guess. I guess we'll have to wait and see who is correct. Moving along.
I'd be interested in hearing why he thinks that Ricky Simone's takedowns won't be the deciding factor here, but I'm sure he has good reasons. Maybe it's because of the reach. But yeah, Ricky Simone is like stacked too. He's a low center of gravity, but the reach is even the same.
Yeah, I was just going to mention. It's just height.
Is the same, but the height is different. Yeah, so I really don't know. We'll have to discuss on the post show when 2 out of 3 of us get it right.
Yeah, and I guess we'll have to see when they step on the scale tomorrow and see who looks better. Maybe already know something we don't, and we'll discuss that on the post show. Moving along, little first fight to kick off the main card is a middleweight bout with Phil Hawes fighting Bruno Ferreira. Phil Hawes had that extremely viral clip where he got the win, and then him and DC just started going at it, and DC checked him and it was like, "Don't do that, bro. You don't want to do that right now." And
he apologized.
He did apologize. He was the bigger man. And I think he's going to be the bigger man in this fight and get it done against Bruno Ferreira. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a very even matchup. I honestly have no clue where this is going to go. All I know is that Phil Hawes has taken some significant shots the last few fights since that viral clip. Roman Dolidze, star of my fantasy team, was one of them. The other one, Ikram Aliskerov, whose only loss again is to Hamzat Chimaev, and he's an up and comer in the middleweight division. But Bruno Ferreira also doesn't have as much experience in the octagon. He did have a loss his last fight against a guy that is also from like the European style of fighting, Nursultan Ruzuboyev, and he got wrecked that fight. But Bruno Ferreira is a very strong guy. He has the ability to knock people out, and as I've said before on the show, you get knocked out a few times, and your head no longer is able to take the punishment. So I think Ferreira lands a few punches and Hawes goes down, but it'll be close. I do expect a finish though. I don't expect this to go to the cards.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you take a few on the chin, it gets harder to win the further you go in your career.
Oh, you rhymed. You're rhyming master.
I'm gonna have a quote for anything. You gotta just get used to it on the show. Just one thing to comment for Phil. He is 5-4 in the UFC, and as you mentioned, he's been getting exposed, and they were all first round finishes to my knowledge. But he averages a ton of strikes per minute. He's not afraid to go at it. And if you look at his resume and who he fights versus Bruno's, he's going against Ikram. He's going against, Roman. He's going against real guys who have the power to do so. And this is Bruno's first, actual fight at someone who's not afraid to just go toe to toe right out the gate, Khamzat Chimaev style. And
Gregory Rodriguez for Ferreira, his introduction into the UFC. I don't know.
I don't think it's enough for me. I don't think it's enough for me. We'll see. I think we'll have to see who's right. Artie also did take Phil Hawes, but I mean, Jude, he's got the power, he's got the size, he's got the heart, he's got the strength. He just doesn't have the mind to remain composed, and he's like a dreidel. Once you spin him, he just doesn't stop. Anyways, moving along to the
silence in the air.
Crickets. Hey, hold on. Let me do you a favor for a second.
Yeah. Thank you.
Moving along to the prelims. We got Andrei Arlovsky versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think, is he the only active Dominican fighter, Waldo? Could be wrong. There might be.
I don't have that stat.
Anyways, he's the best, if that's the case to be made. Andrei Arlovsky, probably his last fight. Honestly, how is he still in the UFC? The guy is 44. The guy has fought literally 56 times. Legend in the game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disrespecting him by any means. I wouldn't go toe to toe with him or anyone in the ring, but why take this fight? You're just gonna get absolutely ruined. There's just no reason for me. I don't think this is a great betting line. I wouldn't say, oh yeah, let's throw Waldo on a parlay and take the -800 as a lock. I think he definitely could win. I just mean it from the point of his career. Like, why take an up and comer with a guy like this who has momentum and power? Try to find someone else who gets you back up in the ranks. But hey, to each their own. I know you and I both took Waldo. Artie did take Andre. So that is another fighter we'll have to talk about on the post show. Your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts. I mean, I think Andrei Arlovsky has a chance. Waldo Cortez Acosta, I remember when he came in, I think he also used to play baseball maybe or something. I know he's massive, but I think I remember that when I saw his first fight. Anyway, he throws bombs. Very strong guy. Arlovsky has the experience. He'll know how to kind of step away from them. I mean, he is old, and the last few fights haven't gone his way. But the reason that he's still in the UFC is because he had like a late resurgence, like a 5-fight win streak or something. Why are you laughing? Did he play baseball?
I'm laughing because I just looked up his stats. 15.95 ERA. No wonder he's in the UFC.
Hey, yeah, but I had that fact saved in my head. Anyway, you're very right about this betting. Similar to when Adesanya was like -700 against Sean Strickland, I thought that was a bad bet. I think that good bet here would be Arlovsky, although I don't think that Arlovsky will win.
I hate you
make sense
sometimes.
for him to be plus 500. Sometimes, yeah, people focus too much on the age, but we have a few of the elderly in the UFC on this card. One of them is winning, Jim Miller. The other one has a chance. 2-0 for the 40-year-olds. We'll see.
We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I definitely agree. He has a chance, but I mean, the power on this guy, maybe that's why he had a 16 ERA. He was just throwing power. He has no accuracy, but if he lands one, boy, he's knocking him out of the park.
I will say his loss. He came in undefeated. His loss was against Marcos Rogerio de Lima, the guy that Derek Lewis finished, I believe, just recently. Like his win with the knee and then the punches. Anyway, so Rogerio de Lima, what he was able to do was take down Waldo. Arlovsky can take him down too. So if he keeps him down, I mean, it might be boring, but it'll be the way to win here. Arlovsky's chin, though, has been a little suspect as of late, unfortunately.
He also did fight Dantale Mays, and that went to decision. Dantale won. That dude's like 6'6" and just an absolute boxer. Just heavyweight fighters. I mean, we say this on the pod all the time. We say behind the scenes all the time. It's like, there's no conditioning. They just want to knock each other out. And to have a heavyweight fighter who wrestles is rare. But, taking a boxer to a decision 6 months ago, that's if that's the mindset he's coming into this, I don't know. Going to be a little shaky, but we'll have to wait and see. But we have other fights. So moving on, we got Matthew Semmelsberger, Semi the Jedi, as he's famously known. If you didn't know, that's another one of my favorite nicknames in the entirety of the UFC. Versus Preston Parsons. And I guess we have to do this real quick because it's another ringer for the Ring Boys. I think I was looking at Preston Parsons, beforehand, before I made the picks, and I was like, maybe he gets it done. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know, plus 110, minus 130 for these odds. His name's Pressure. Like, I started looking into the guy, but I noticed a flaw. And you know what that flaw?
What was the flaw?
He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. Just stand up, bro. Like, come on. You heard Derek Lewis. But no, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, the Semi has the Semi the Jedi. Has the reach advantage by 4 inches there. And yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a sure shoe-in for Semi or Semmelsberger. I think this is gonna just be. I think this is gonna go the distance, and he'll win by decision.
Yeah, I think Semmelsberger will knock out Parsons here.
Okay.
It's really unfortunate that his nickname is Semi the Jedi. What it should be is Semtex, and I guess that nickname was taken by Paul Daly, former UFC fighter, demoted down to Bellator.
Look at you.
Hey, I wish it was Semtex, but it's okay. Semtex because he throws bombs, and we saw that. Really good fight recently against Uros Medic. He threw a ton of bombs, and then Uros somehow ate them and then gave it back. But that's what I expect. I expect Semmelsberger to win. He's lost a few recently. I think if he loses this one, then it shows that his power isn't enough to stay in the UFC, and that his career would come to a screeching halt kind of soon. But yeah, it should be exciting, in my opinion. Should be exciting.
Agreed. Good fight. A close fight and a fun fight. Moving along.
Ringer?
Yeah, I rang the bell before we came onto it. Calm down. We got more bells here. Trust me. moving along, bantamweight. Marcus McGee at minus 260 against is it Gustavo Bolaños. We had to research this guy a couple times. Gaston Bolaños. Marcus McGee, I know one of those fights he had 8 months ago, he took on short notice, came in, won, filled for Brian Kelleher, did awesome. But yeah, I got Marcus McGee. Already has Marcus McGee. Doc, who do you have winning this?
I have Marcus McGee. To end out the ringer, and I have Marcus McGee as my lock of the card. What he did to JP Buys last fight was astonishing. Super calm and collected, great striking. I'm so happy that he's back in action early this year. Hopefully we get to see him out 3 times or so this year. I think he's not going to be like a champion, but because he is getting up there in age, but I am excited to see him fight. Bolaños, not too much experience in the UFC, and McGee can feast on this. Not much more to say. I'm excited for this very crisp striking. Significant strike, actually 47%. I don't know if that was like earlier in his career or what, but what I saw from him last time was fantastic, and seems like he's getting better and better.
Gaston Bolaños, his nickname is the Dream Killer, so we'll see if he holds true to that nickname and can get it done against Marcus McGee. But I don't think that'll be the case.
Disrespectful, not even having Marcus McGee's body on the profile. What are you doing, ESPN?
Hey, don't make fun of ESPN, because if we go over to UFC's website, they don't even have the odds correct. And again, UFC, fix your website, please. Move along here before my cholesterol spikes. We got Farid Basharat against Taylor Lapalli. I believe Farid is minus 275. Taylor is a plus 225. A bantamweight fight. I know Farid Basharat is my pick, Artie's pick, your pick, so he's a ringer. And he's also Artie's lock of the card. Wish we could get Artie's thoughts on it, but for now, we'll obviously speak. Farid is undefeated, and I think he's going to keep that streak going. I think this is a really good fight. I think this has potential to be fight of the night, and this is one to definitely keep your eye on.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I've seen Taylor Lapalli fight. I haven't really seen Farid Basharat fight. I feel like I would have remembered that name if I did, but I am picking him undefeated. Has beaten some decent competition, and we'll see how this fight is. I would have also liked to hear why Artie believes this is the lock of the card, but we'll see. And also doing again, Lapalli, doing him dirty without the picture. But hey, just a comment: 70% significant strike accuracy. Wow.
That boy hungry.
Let's see a stand up fight.
That boy is hungry. Moving along here. I don't want to look at anything else. Featherweight fight. This is going to be your bathroom break of the entire fight night. Jean Silva versus Weston Wilson. Obviously, Jean Silva minus 1,000. A ringer for the Ring Boys. I don't even want to talk about this one. I'm going to be in the bathroom for this fight. Doc?
Weston Wilson honestly isn't that bad of a fighter. So
Stop.
I'm a bit shocked. I'm a bit shocked at this minus 1,000. I don't think I would ever bet a minus 1,000, especially. Is this his first fight in the UFC? Like,
Jean Silva?
Goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is his debut.
Yeah. So this is like completely new game. Like, this guy must be unreal.
He was on the Contender Series and he won against Vallejos. So
okay,
you can take that.
But this is again good for him, but I don't know.
I mean, just think about it: 6'1" against 5'7" guy who's gonna just wrestle you to the ground and probably just submit you anyway, and has knockout power. I don't know. I don't think I'm glad you're mentioning it because I think you're feeling hot after your Costa pick and calling that one. But there's nothing to bet here. There's nothing to worry about here.
No,
I
I
wouldn't bet. I
agree.
wouldn't bet. I wouldn't bet for Silva. And I think I don't want to see this one go the distance. I want to just see this one roll over.
I just want to bring up there has been a fight. I believe it was minus 1100. Maria Agapova back in the
Yeah,
day, a few years back, and she got worked for 3 rounds and lost.
true.
Forgot who she was fighting, but hey, it happens. I just don't know enough about these two fighters to make that call.
That is fair. Moving along, we got Nicholas Mata, who I think we actually no, we didn't cover that fight. Nicholas Mata fighting Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan was on the Contender Series, had that electric knockout against Bogdan Grad. And this is another fight that's like the lines are kind of questionable. Minus 350, I feel like is a little high for a guy making his UFC debut. Nicholas Mata, I think, is coming off a loss and looking to get back in the mix. And yeah, 6-0, you know, the Aussie man, I think he's going to get it done. Nicholas Mata. After I just watched Mata have that weird no contest to Trey Ogden, which he definitely lost, in my opinion. I think he's in his head a little bit. He's been extremely streaky, and I don't think he's going to be able to get it done against Tom Nolan. And Tom Nolan's going to be partying in Vegas for his UFC debut at 23 years of age. You know that boy's going to go crazy after a win. But Doc, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I'm excited to see Nolan fight Mata. He's like a one-punch knockout potential. I'm sure that'll have to change Nolan's game plan here, but what he did on Dana White's Contender Series, he has his own power. Thankfully, he does have the reach advantage, the height advantage. He just needs to make sure he doesn't get hit. Ogden was able to do that against Mota. Hopefully, Nolan can as well. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a nice little knockout from Mota, but
Yeah,
but because we know that that's going to be highlight reel stuff. But yeah, I'm taking Nolan on this one. I prefer the well-rounded fighter against the pure power puncher.
and that is the ringer from the Ring Boys. First fight of the night, in my opinion, and a really, really good first fight to make of the night. Joshua Van versus Felipe Buenas. Joshua Van minus 260, Felipe plus 210. Joshua Van fought on that Yuri Prohaska Alex Pereira card, 295. Set a record for most strikes or kicks. I forget which one it was. And the fact that he's fighting this quick is, one, impressive. Two, he's fighting a legit guy. And three, I think he's going to get it done. And I think it's going to be a hot start to the night at 4 p.m. on a Saturday card in Vegas.
Joshua Van, the one fighter from Burma, I do know that, fighting. I'm super excited to see him. Endless cardio, throws tons of shots, significant strikes, 9 per minute. Are you kidding me? I'm glad to see him again early on this year. He was super confident after his last performance. Let's see him back out there. This again, if he builds up a nice little win streak, we'll start seeing him on the main card. He's fun to watch. He's fun to watch in that flyweight division. I know, not too many knockouts, but there's endless excitement there. So we'll see how he is. I don't know too much about the other guy, but I do know about Van, and he's young, he's hungry, wants to fight clearly. Let's see him out there. Let's see him raise those numbers up to 10 significant strikes per minute. I think he can do it.
I think he can. And that is going to end the coverage on UFC Vegas 84, Uncle Ivor Walker 2, with a ringer from the Ring Boys. But yeah, just to run through the picks again, we all agree on the prelims. Not many underdogs taken for picks. The locks of the card already took Farid Basharat. I took Jan Siva, and you took Marcus McGee. And honestly, a pretty good card to start the year. We're going to try to hit every UFC event this year, fight night and pay-per-views, with a pre-show, a post-show, and surprise episodes, and eventually live streams. So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button if you're listening from a podcast platform. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. And we're going to keep at it. We do this for you guys, as I like to call it, by the common man, for the common man. You guys know this is just our opinion. Hopefully we can make you guys some money this year. And Doc, your thoughts before we sign off here?
Yeah, this is going to be a great card to start off the year. Glad we got this episode out. This is a little preview for the UFC card coming up next week. Duplessis, Sean Strickland. It's going to be exciting. But yeah, tons of young prospects coming up on the prelims here. Tons of great fights. I don't know. Hopefully, I know we have a ton of ringers here, but hopefully they all hit. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch some more UFC. So we get that in a few days here.
Agreed. I think we'll be a little rusty in our picks because, sometimes we don't know who we're picking, but I like to watch our main card accuracy for the year. I think we're going to be pretty good on it this year. But nonetheless, thank you for listening and tuning in, Ringside Nation. Hopefully Artie will be back for the post show this weekend. Doc, thank you for joining us. And with that note, we are out of here. Peace.